Sarah stood by the window, phone pressed tightly to her ear, her breath caught in her throat as she listened to the voice on the other end of the line. It had been years since anyone had mentioned her son Michael in anything more than a whisper of hope. The voice, unfamiliar and urgent, promised news that could change everything. Sarah hadn't always been alone in raising her children. Once there was laughter and two little pairs of feet running through the halls of their small but warm home. But life threw its share of curveballs. Her husband left when Michael was just 9, and Sarah poured her everything into being both mother and father to him and his younger sister, Emily. Then came the unimaginable. Michael disappeared. It was a sunny Tuesday, just after his 12th birthday. He left for school with a quick hug and a promise to clean his room when he got home. But he never did. The backpack found abandoned in the park was the first clue something terrible had happened. Welcome back to PlotTwister. Before we unravel today's mystery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you're always in the loop. The immediate days following Michael's disappearance were a blur of police lights, search parties, and tear-stained faces. Sarah became a fixture on local news, her pleas for her son's safe return echoing through the homes of thousands. As days turned to months, the volunteers dwindled, the posters faded under the harsh rays of the sun, but the ache in Sarah's heart only grew stronger. She kept Michael's room just as he had left it, a shrine to the hope that one day he might come back to fill the silence with his laughter. As the years stretched on, Sarah's life settled into a new, unwelcome rhythm. The empty chair at the dinner table served as a constant, painful reminder of Michael's absence. Sarah threw herself into work and caring for Emily, who grew quieter each day, her brother's shadow hanging heavy over her young life. False leads occasionally pierced the monotony of grief. A boy matching Michael's description spotted in a distant town, a mysterious call claiming knowledge of his whereabouts, all ending in disappointment. Each false alarm pushed Sarah a little closer to despair, yet she couldn't stop herself from following every lead, her heart a mix of hope and dread. In the quiet moments alone, Sarah struggled with a torrent of emotions. Anger, guilt, and sorrow swirled within her, often pulling her to the floor beside Michael's bed, where she'd clutch his old baseball mitt and allow herself to weep. It was in one of these moments that she decided to join a support group for parents of missing children. Holidays were the hardest. Michael's empty seat at the Christmas dinner table was more than just a physical space. It was a gaping hole in the family's festivities. Sarah would cook Michael's favorite dishes, setting them out as if he would walk through the door at any moment. But as the years passed, the rituals brought less comfort. Despite the pain, Sarah found a resilience she never knew she had. She became a pillar in the support group, sharing her story and listening to others. It was through helping others that she began to see a possibility for healing, even without answers. Her resolve to maintain hope, despite the ever-present shadow of Michael's absence, became a testament to her strength. On a gray Thursday afternoon, while Sarah was sorting through old files at work, her phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. Her hand hesitated over the screen. Unknown numbers now always sparked a flicker of hope, tightly twined with fear. Taking a deep breath, she answered, her voice trembling slightly as she braced herself for another disappointment. The voice on the other end was calm and professional, yet there was an urgency that Sarah hadn't heard before. The caller introduced herself as Lisa, a social worker from a small town on the coast. Lisa carefully explained that she was calling about a young man who had come into her office earlier that week, a young man who believed he might be Sarah's son. Sarah's heart skipped a beat, then sank. She'd been down this road before, tips that led nowhere, cruel jokes played by anonymous voices. The sting of past letdowns tampered her reaction, her voice barely a whisper as she asked for details, her hand clutching the edge of her desk for support. With a mixture of hope and deep-seated skepticism, Sarah listened as Lisa outlined the next steps. They would need to meet in person to discuss everything and conduct a formal verification process. Lisa was cautious yet optimistic, a tone that nudged Sarah's heart toward hope once more, even as her mind urged caution. Emily noticed her mother's pale face and trembling hands when Sarah arrived home that evening. Gathering her courage, Sarah shared the news with her daughter, who responded with a quiet strength. Together, they decided to face this new lead, to once again step onto the roller coaster of hope and fear, driven by the slim chance that this call could mean the end of their long wait. Sarah arrived at the designated meeting place, her stomach in knots, every step weighed down by a decade of unanswered questions and what-ifs. The small cafe was quiet, the murmur of conversation a soft backdrop to the pounding of her heart. She scanned the room and saw Lisa, the social worker, waiting with a gentle, understanding smile. As they sat down, Lisa began to speak in measured tones. She explained how a young man, now nearly an adult, had wandered into her office, confused and alone. He spoke of a family that had raised him, told him stories of a family who had abandoned him because they didn't want him. These stories, embedded in his mind, kept him from seeking out the truth for years. Lisa continued, detailing how the family that had taken him in had recently passed away in an accident, leaving him alone with many questions. In their belongings, he found clues that led him to doubt the stories he had been told about his past. This discovery propelled him to seek help in piecing together his true identity, which eventually led him to Lisa's office. Sarah listened, her breath catching in her throat as Lisa handed her a photograph of the young man. It was Michael. He had her eyes, her smile. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she absorbed every word, every implication of the years of lies that had kept her son away. The verification came next. They had conducted a DNA test to confirm his identity, and the results were conclusive. It was indeed Michael. The emotions that followed were overwhelming. Relief, joy, anger, all crashing over her like waves. But beneath it all was a clear, piercing need to see her son, to hold him, to tell him the truth about how deeply he had been missed. They arranged for Sarah to meet Michael the next day. That night, Sarah lay awake, the years of pain mingled with a profound relief and an anxiety about the reunion that lay just hours away. The thought of seeing Michael again, of rebuilding what had been lost, filled her with a cautious hope as dawn crept across the sky. The day of the reunion dawned bright and clear, a sharp contrast to the turmoil churning inside Sarah as she prepared to meet Michael. She chose a simple blue dress, Michael's favorite color, remembering how he had always complimented her when she wore it. Each action, each choice felt heavy with significance as she drove to the location Lisa had arranged. Sarah arrived at the park early, the bench near the fountain where they were supposed to meet now a beacon of both hope and fear. As she waited, every passerby seemed to be him for a fleeting second, her heart jumping at each figure that resembled Michael from a distance. Finally, she saw him, taller than she remembered, with the same gentle eyes that she had looked into every day of his first 12 years. Michael walked towards her, his steps hesitant. When their eyes met, it was as if no time had passed, and an eternity had gone by all at once. Tears welled up in both their eyes. Without a word, they embraced, holding each other tightly. The years of separation melted away in the warmth of the moment, their tears mingling in a silent language of grief, love, and relief. Sarah pulled back just enough to look at him, her hands cupping his face, reassured by the tangible reality of his presence. They sat on the bench, talking for hours. Michael shared his story, the life he had led away from her, the confusion and the lies he had believed. Sarah listened, her heart aching for the years lost, yet overflowing with gratitude for this moment of reunion. Together, they began to untangle the years of misunderstanding, each word a step towards healing. As Sarah, Michael, and Emily sat together in their living room, the walls echoed with laughter and soft conversations, a stark contrast to the years of silence that had filled the space. They flipped through old photo albums, Michael pointing to pictures, asking about the relatives and holidays he missed. Each memory, recounted by Sarah, was a bridge reconnecting Michael to his past. In the weeks that followed, the family's story began to touch others in the community and beyond. Local news outlets picked up their remarkable reunion, spreading a message of hope and perseverance. Sarah and Michael were invited to speak at events, sharing their journey to help other families, holding on to hope for their missing loved ones. The impact of their story was profound, not just for those who heard it, but for Sarah, Michael, and Emily themselves. They found strength in advocacy, helping to support search efforts for missing children and working to prevent similar occurrences. Their pain had turned into a purpose, transforming their ordeal into opportunities to aid others. Amidst the flurry of attention and new beginnings, Sarah made sure to carve out quiet moments for the family, cherishing the everyday joys of having Michael home. Simple dinners, movie nights, walks in the park became cherished rituals, each moment a precious stitch in the fabric of their restored family life. What are your thoughts on the twist we uncovered today? Comment your ideas below. Make sure to like and subscribe for a daily dose of drama and mystery. See you later with another twist.